Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. Well, you guys, I am so excited. My girlfriend, my sister is here, and I can't wait to tell you some things about her. So, one, she is born and raised from New York. So we big up that. We love where people are born and raised from. Number two, she's a lawyer, Esquire. We'll find out what branch and how she does that. And last but not least, she's a free spirit. She is optimistic. And we love that because we know that navigates through life. So, you guys, please put your hand together and welcome my girlfriend, my sister, Tanya R.
Happy Saturday.
Yes, how are you, my dear?
I am fantastic, and you are looking fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. I just want to let you know that I appreciate you for saying yes so much. Anytime anyone comes onto my platform, I want to express that with my whole heart because you could be anywhere else on your Saturday and you chose to be with me. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. So I ask all my guests this one particular question. What makes you tick? What makes you boil? What gets you up in the morning?
What gives me up in the morning, honestly, is the opportunity to just have a fantastic day and to figure out where in the world I would like to travel because I love to travel. I love going to new places and meeting new people. So every day that I can wake up and think to myself, where is it that I would like to go in the next 2 weeks, next 2 months? That is what gets me going. And I would also say just the opportunity to actually wake up in the morning. That's something that a lot of us take for granted. So as soon as my eyes actually open and my limbs are moving and I can get myself out of bed and bathe myself and go eat or do whatever it is that I have to do, that is inspiration enough to turn a frown up into a smile and enjoy my day.
I'm glad you said that. You're talking to some people in the back pew up at the top that may not look at life in that manner. And that one word to say, I'm getting up and my eyes are opening, my limbs are moving, to have the gratitude to appreciate life. We know that sometimes life be lifing.
Amen.
Sometimes you be like, what? But we also need to have that peace that, guess what? Tomorrow's another day. Today, let's get through it. Let's smile. Let's be grateful. And we know if you start something and you have your heart in it, you will continue to move forward.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So let's talk about like when I met you, this was, oh gosh, I'm thinking about, oh gosh, maybe 10 years ago,
Years ago, I was about to say, yeah.
my first time to New York. And you was just like from day one, instantly, like you was like a good sister girlfriend. We just had such a good time.
We did.
And one thing I loved about New York was either they like you or they don't. I like to operate in that energy.
Right.
Like, okay, this is what you believe, and it's okay. But if it's not, that's okay too. And I really love that energy of New York. You've been born and raised. Can you tell us where and your journey and why, if you do, love New York?
Well, I was born and raised in East Harlem, and I absolutely love New York because it really is a melting pot, and um, it's a place where anything is possible if you really put your mind to it. If you are really, on your grind, and even if you're not on your grind, if you're somebody who's just very laissez-faire, there's a place for you as well. So I think what I enjoy the most about New York is the fact that it's inspiring, right? There's ups, there's downs. New York is really, in addition to being a melting pot, to me, it's a snapshot of what life is actually like. You have those at the top that are doing well, those in the middle, and then those, at the bottom. But there is ample opportunity for you to kind of move between those levels. And there's just something for a little bit of something for everybody there. And like you said, with New Yorkers, they're pretty much very straightforward. Either they like you or they don't. It's a fast-paced environment, so you really have to be on your P's and Q's. Safety reasons, of course, but I think just also just keeping being on your P's and Q's for any opportunities that may come your way because it's so fast-paced. If you're not really on it, you might miss it. So, like I said, I grew up in New York. I went to um, college, and then after college, I worked on Capitol Hill for a while for Senator Schumer, which was a great experience. It definitely was an eye opener coming from, an inner city and then being able to work on the Hill and really seeing how government works top down and having the ability, I guess, to be involved in that, right? Because a lot of the things that the senator worked on affected my community directly. So it was nice to actually have a seat at the table at such a young age and be involved and see how decisions that are made at the top, how they affect those at the bottom. And that's actually what inspired me to then go on to grad school to get a master's in urban planning. I had this whole thought process that I was going to be an inner city real estate developer or an urban real estate developer because I didn't see a lot of people of color and particularly women of color doing real estate development in inner city areas. I was always interested in the law. I, you know, wanted to be an attorney honestly since I was 7. It was something that I wanted to do.
Wow.
Yes.
7 is my favorite number, by the way.
See? And so my thought process after working on the Hill and going to grad school was kind of creating a one-stop center of sorts where half of what we did would focus on real estate development in inner city communities and helping members of those community actually be involved in the redevelopment of their neighborhoods. And then you have the other piece, the legal piece to help, um, you know, individuals who might need legal assistance as well. So it was kind of like a one-stop shop idea, but I haven't pursued it. I'm still thinking about it, but at this point, I'm not sure I'm going to pursue that. But like I said, I did go on to law school, which was a great experience. Um, am I talking too much?
No, you're not. No,
Okay,
you're
so
not. We want to know who you are. Everything is from your perspective. And
okay.
if we can continue, it was a question I was going to ask you, kind of led off on that. Talk
Mhm.
about what branch or study of law that you actually execute now and what that journey has been like for you.
So currently, I'm a consumer attorney, which means basically, we do a lot of debt defense, foreclosure defense, medical debts, repossessions. It's basically helping individuals who are being sued, primarily by debt collectors for debts, helping them figure out if there's a defense to that debt, and hopefully, getting them out from under it. And if not, then a lot of our work sometimes is actually settlement. So working with folks to try to enter into repayment plans that actually make sense based on their income and not some astronomical number that a debt collector wants them to pay, but more something in lines with what the individual debtor can pay to ensure that they don't default going forward. In addition to that, I do Chapter 7 bankruptcies, which is always, the best worst case, but could be best case scenario when you have someone who just has a lot of debts that they can't afford to pay, and they just need to have a clean slate. So I've been doing that now for the last 5 years, but prior to that, I practiced family law for about 4.5 years. That was an interesting experience,
Why
to
do
say the
you
least.
why do you say that was in, is it because it's families involved or because of a deeper dive in far as responsibility?
I would say I would say because it's families involved, right? Consumer, not to say that consumer is not emotional, because it can be. If you're somebody that's facing 70, 80, $90,000 worth of debt and you have no idea how you're going to pay it off, it can be mind blowing. But there are ways to deal with that, right? You can file for bankruptcy, whether it's a Chapter 7 or a 13. You can work out a payment plan, or, there's certain affirmative defenses that you can raise to possibly get that whole complaint dismissed. But
Wow.
yeah, so, if somebody's pursuing you for a debt outside of the statute of limitations, the time has run for them to pursue it. You can argue that point, along with other defenses. But with family, it's different because it's actual human emotions. And I think I felt as a family attorney that about 70% of my time was actually managing people's emotions, and expectations with respect to the outcomes. So you never, as an attorney, you never want to overpromise and underdeliver. Um, and I think a lot of times, in family cases, when you have, let's say, for example, a custody case or you have a divorce, emotions are running high. People's expectations sometimes are off the charts, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
really help them to dial it back. And as the attorney, you really have to remain objective and not allow your own emotions to get in the way, right? Because sometimes if you have a domestic violence victim or client who's a DV victim and they're crying and telling you this horrendous story that they've gone through, it's only human nature. I'm a Cancer, I'm an empath, so you take that on and you feel it. And you have to learn how to kind of build a wall, if that makes sense. Um,
It
and
definitely, it definitely does. And if I may jump in,
mhm,
because I really believe in this, you said Cancer, empath. We know cancers are water signs, very intuitive, very empathic. How do you navigate those waters? What are your tools in your bag to make sure you don't get overwhelmed by, things that are going on, or people telling you those stories, but you still have to execute and be a lawyer? What have you learned thus far that you can say, okay, I had to do this in order to navigate forward?
what I learned was that when I leave work at work. I know that's hard to do because sometimes things are still on your mind, but and prior to the pandemic, it was a little bit easier because you weren't working from home where the computer is here. In the office, you literally, when you turned that computer off, when you turned those lights off, when you closed that door and you left the office, it really felt like it's done until tomorrow, more or less, right? Unless you got to breathe through, then it's not done. And I think just being spiritually grounded, prayer definitely helped me a lot. Journaling helped me. Music definitely helps sometimes, right? So for me, like, I like to just come home and just listen to some DMX or Nas or Beyonce, Ashanti, Rihanna, whoever, Katy Perry, whatever. And you just kind of, I would literally be in my house and just dance it off. And you feel so much better. Or even when I would leave work, just in the car and being able to turn up the song and sing along to it. It was a breather. So yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, because I had my cousin on, probably Erica's uncle,
Mm-hmm.
which is my first cousin. And he was talking about a transition or a time where he was really going through something, and he would play a song over, day in, day out, day in, day out. And he said he pulled on that song, and that song or the music was actually a counseling session for him to raise
Mm-hmm.
his vibration. Like, I may not be able to talk to this person, but listen, I'm going to play this music and it's going to go through my system. It's going to pull me up. So I say all that to say, can you identify a song that has either blessed you, has provided perspective, or giving you provided distraction? Now, before you answer this,
Okay.
there's rules to this.
Okay.
If you can sing, I need you to sing your throat box out.
Ah.
If you can rap, I need you to come hard in the paint. Do what you do, how you do it. But if you cannot do any of those, I need you to say it boldly with passion. I need to feel it with all your heart. And you know how they say in the street, stand 10 toes down? That's what I need. That's what I need you to do. So I'm going to go back to my original question. Can you identify a song that has blessed you, distracted you, or provided perspective?
I would say Lauryn Hill's song. I'm not gonna sing it for you, but oh God, I want to sing it, but my voice is not. It's basically you're just too good to be true. Can't keep my eyes off of you. I don't know. It's something about that song, like when it starts.
Yes.
Like you hear it and you like, yeah, it just, I don't know. It gets me like, yes. And then she says, you're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. It'd be like heaven to touch. I don't know. It's just when I hear that, it brings me joy. Like just singing it right now just gave me goosebumps. My apologies for my voice to the fans.
No, you
But
good.
it's just like when you hear that, it gives you so much hope that
Yes.
okay, no matter what I went through today, something good is gonna come. Um, I think for me, I love the idea of it. And
Yeah.
so when I hear that song, it just makes you feel like, yes, like and when she says that, it doesn't even necessarily have to just be a person. Like I know that's what she's singing about,
Yes.
but when you hear it, just it's like the day, it's just you're just too good to be. It's like it could be the day that's just too good. No matter what happened today, like the day that's coming tomorrow is just gonna be too good. That's gonna be my man. The next
Yeah.
24 hours, you know what I mean? It gives you that, and I think the other one I would add definitely is Beyonce's Summer Renaissance. Doom, 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 doom. When you hear that, I wanna house you, right? And
That's
again,
house music.
I know. And then when I hear that, I think of like, so when I first heard that song, I thought of short shorts and roller skates
Oh,
and a boom box. Somebody with a boom box with roller skate, like short shorts and roller skates, and your bikini top, and you
wow.
got your sunglasses, and it's 90 something degrees outside. So here on the East Coast, especially here in Jersey today, we've got gray skies and rain. And I'm gonna play that song when you and I get off because it just, I don't know.
It's going to elevate your energy. It's going to give you that sun that's not outside, right?
Yeah, yeah. It just, I don't know. It just feels good.
You know what? I love that you said that because it goes back into what I say that I didn't say. I said music has turned me all the way out in a good way. Okay. And that song, how you're able to describe it, both the songs, it gives that elevation energy. And remember, it's from your perspective, how you see it. Like you said, she may be singing Lauryn Hill about a lover, but you may be seeing it from the love of life.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's all beautiful, you know? So I love that.
Thank you.
Yay! So let's talk about, because I'll go back and forth. Let's talk about you're from the island of where your family is Guyanese, correct?
hmm My dad was American from South Carolina. Shout out to South Carolina.
Yeah. So with that, what, because you, to me, if you are Guyanese or any other culture, you have two different worlds within one, meaning your home center
hmm
may have certain things that's different from the outside world.
Right.
Can you give me a little bit of how you had to navigate those waters home and then go out with your American friends or American center? Do you have a perspective that you had to look at things in two different ways?
Um,
Or that was not your perspective?
I don't. I think I don't. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say.
So your
I
mom
guess because the
acclimate.
majority of my friends are Black American or West Indian. So I think I think, and I don't know, I don't want to say this is just Caribbean specific, right? Because I don't think that's what it is. Because you see this in Black American culture as well. From the South, you have a lot of business owners, the emphasis on education. I could say for me growing up, my grandfather was very, 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 very strict about education and the importance of it. And he would always say, learning is better than silver and gold. That was his big thing.
Wow.
Learning is better than silver and gold. And as a kid, he would say it. And I would just be like, in your mind, you're like, what are you talking about? Silver and gold. Like, money buys everything, money rules the world. But as I got older, I understood what he meant, especially now with being an attorney or just even having something as basic as your high school diploma or getting that, law degree. It's something that can never be taken away from you. You
Mm-hmm.
can lose money at any time, right?
Ah,
People are seeing that now. People saw it during the Great Depression. But it's like when you have that high school certificate, if you get your, what is it? What is the
GED.
alternate? The GED, right? People sleep on that and they're like, oh, you got your GED. Like, what is that? No, it's a lot because it means that you fulfill the general education requirements.
Yes.
um, so even if you're like in elementary school and you get your little certificate, you get your gold star for doing your homework well, those are things that can never be taken away from you. And so that was always emphasized in my household. And I think the other thing too was that there was no, like, there's nothing that you can't do, right?
That's
There's nothing that
important.
you can't do. And so it was interesting because you have my dad, like I said, who came from South Carolina, grew up during segregation. The limited conversations he and I had, you could tell it was a struggle. They were in the fields, they picked cotton. He's like, when you're walking on the sidewalk, if a white person came, your head was down, you got off the sidewalk so they could keep coming. And I saw, so you have that perspective. Then you have, the Caribbean perspective where life is your oyster. You know,
Mm,
you use America. America is an opportunity for you to do whatever it is that you want to do. And there is no limitation on what it is that you're able to do. And so I think for me, that was a good balance growing up because from my dad's perspective, um, it helped me be real. I don't want to say it helped me to manage my expectations, if that makes sense.
yes.
And it was helpful to know on, from the Caribbean side that yes, if you do this, if you work hard, you can get, you can make it, you can get the house, you can get the job, you can have it all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's true. But then we also know what the limitations are in America for people of color and specifically for Black people. And so for me, it was nice to kind of have uh, that balance.
Yes. Yes. I love that you said that, and the reason why I always ask, I had a lady on from El Salvador,
Mm,
and her parents was from El Salvador. She
mm-hmm,
grew up here in America,
mm-hmm,
and in our household, it was two different things that kind of went on.
right.
So you have different expectations for your children in your household when you come from another country
Mm-hmm.
versus where it may be different if you're born and raised here in America. It may be different perspectives.
Right. And I think too, because the one thing that I want to say is because sometimes there's always that clash, right, between Black American culture, African culture, and Caribbean culture. Um, I really appreciate my dad's culture coming from South Carolina, because, and just Black American culture, period, because um, it's so endearing and it's so what's the word I want to use? Um,
Rich? No.
it's rich, but it's just it's strength, right? It's so strong, and there are so many people now, whether you're from, a country in Africa, somewhere in the West Indies, if you're from Southeast Asia, wherever, you are able to come to the United States, sit anywhere you want on a bus. That's something people don't think about. You can sit anywhere you want on a bus. You can drive down 95 to Florida and stop at any rest stop, thanks to the civil rights movement and to those Black Americans who put their lives on the line
Yes. Yeah.
just so that you could, not only them, but you could then come here and benefit from citizenship. So
True.
I always, I appreciate that with my dad. Like I said, with my dad's family, the times that I did go down to South Carolina to see how they started off, and then to see, what they ultimately ended up doing with their lives, being very productive and successful. And I really want to make that point, because I feel like a lot of times it's overlooked. And when it comes to Black people in America and Black Americans, there's always this negative stereotype, oh, there's violence, the dad's not in the home, it's not this, it's that. No, we are amazing people that
Absolutely.
have contributed so much. And I just
Absolutely.
wanted to say that. I'm gonna get off my
No,
soapbox.
no. I think it's necessary. I believe all of us are all connected, regardless if it's the islands, whether it's Africa. This is my native home. I believe that a lot of us are native here, and they told us we're originally from Africa, but that does not negate that you guys, or from the islands or from Africa, that you're not my brother and sister, because that is definitely that. It's nothing wrong with representing your own home. Like on my podcast, I always say I'm a native of Las Vegas. I rep Las Vegas, but that does not mean I don't love New York and love the people that come from New York.
Right.
So I think it's something to be said. It's a balance to everything we do and what we say.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to piggyback and go back to when you were working on Capitol Hill. You were in DC. DC
Yes.
and New York are next door to each other. However, two different atmospheres. You got go-go music. You're seeing people from all different walks of life in the political aspect. How was that climate from where you came from to DC? Was it like a the word I'm looking for? Did it change your perspective on a lot of things?
Um,
Far as interacting with a different culture of people, DC versus New York?
no, not
No,
really.
no,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I definitely had to get used to go-go music.
really.
Did. It was just different, but I loved the beat. I loved it. And I enjoyed the people that I met in DC. So I didn't feel like it was a culture shock. What I can tell you is when I went to college in New Hampshire, now that was a culture shock. Coming from New York, and then you're going to, Hanover, New Hampshire, which I don't know. I feel like it's probably one of the whitest towns uh in America, or at least up that way. So it definitely took some adjusting, but DC, nah. DC
Okay. Well, and I say that DC, it has, to me, DC is so multicultural. You can find a piece of you anywhere. Like it's
Mhm.
parts of DC I was in, and I was like, "Am I in LA right now?" No. And then it's another part. I'm like, "Am I in Chicago right now?" No. Like you can find
Mhm.
every part of you, because you have the DMV, you have Maryland, you have
Right.
Virginia, and you get all those different parts. And everywhere I've went, I've never had a bad experience, and I've always felt at home,
Yeah.
except for that cold weather. I said, you know what, when it
Yep.
gets cold, I'm back in Las Vegas. But it's just a beautiful melting pot, and I know New York is a melting pot, so I didn't know if it was two different perspectives, being born and raised and then working in there. So that's why I posed that question.
Yeah, no. I thought it was to your point, I agree with everything that you said. Right down to the cold. I am
Girl,
not a fan. I no. Mm-mm.
yes,
But yeah,
yes,
DC. What I like too about DC, like you said, with it being a melting pot, it also was a great place for I think for me to see people who looked like me
yes,
doing big things, doing so well, making, huge decisions, being involved in uplifting the community, whether it's actually on the ground doing community work or, like I said, walking the halls or the floors of Congress. So that to me was a great thing to see, and it was nice to be in that environment among um, folks that were all moving in that direction of just trying to make this country good for all of us, a better
yeah.
place for all of us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that sentiment 100%. When I initially, the first time I ever went to DC, I remember walking into the airport and I just stood there and looked. And I remember the guy came up to me to take my luggage. He was
Mhm.
like, "You okay, baby?" And I'm like, "Yes." He said, "You see all these black people?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you scared?" I said, "No, I'm so happy," because I had a whole group of Caucasian people with me. I was the only black one.
Ah,
So, in his perspective, he probably thought I was overwhelmed. I said,
mhm.
"No, I'm so happy." He said, "Okay, grab my luggage." And I tell you, it was so phenomenal to see, like you say, because I tell people all the time, what you see on TV is not the real deal. I have watched the news, I've seen the Capitol building, and I get here and I'm like, wait a minute, you black, you own this. What blew my mind even more, I remember going to a black owned bagel shop on Pennsylvania Avenue, right?
Mm.
Everybody that patronized that bagel shop was Caucasian. I'm like, and that gave me, that travel was the best thing because it gave me a real reality check that
Mhm.
what is presented on TV, no matter what they say, it is snippets of somebody else's reality. You must travel, you must get out, you must have the lay of the land and be able to process it for yourself. And after that trip, it was on and popping. You couldn't tell me nothing. It was all about me gathering my own experience and
Mhm.
looking at things from my own perspective. If you don't mind me going on and on, but I don't know if you remember 60 Minutes with Andy
Yes.
Rooney.
Yes.
We're probably dating ourselves. And I remember, I remember at the very end, he would talk about all these great things. He said,
Mhm.
but the best education in the world is traveling
Yes.
and going to different areas and learning their custom, finding out how
Absolutely.
people are living. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm saying all this for a reason. I want to find out what sparked your love of travel.
My grandfather was a merchant seaman, and he traveled the world. And he said, he told me about Panama one day. He said, you know, you have to see the Panama Canal. Now, who says that? It's like, what? The Panama Canal? I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, when you see the Panama Canal, it will bring tears to your eyes to know that man created that, that man had the ingenuity, the thought back then to create something like that. And I was like, okay, I got to go see this canal. And I went and I saw the Panama Canal. We did like a tour, not the whole canal, but you kind of go through half of it. And the ship, the way he described it was exactly how it was. You've got the ship going through the canal, it gets into the locks, and they raise the doors. And if I remember this correctly, I think when you're going to the Pacific, it's higher than the Atlantic. So the ship will raise going to the Pacific and it goes down to the Atlantic. It could be the reverse. I don't remember. But The point is when the ship gets into the locks and you see what's happening, and as you're going through the canal, to know that man built that, it was like an eye opener for me. And I said, I need to see what else is happening in the world. I love, love, love travel. Anybody who knows me, Hallema, you know me.
Yeah.
I will get on somebody's plane tomorrow and go wherever. I think travel is amazing. And the other thing people will tell you is, you know, if you're a hotel snob, you don't travel with me. I'll do an all inclusive if it's your birthday or something special, but I like the boutique experience, like the boutique hotels, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still want to make sure you're safe wherever you're
Of
traveling.
course.
And I do a lot of solo traveling, but and also with friends, but I like that because it really forces you to live like a local, right? You
Yes.
have no choice.
Yes.
You go to my friend and I, a few years ago, we had gone to Cambodia. Yeah, we had gone to Cambodia, and that was an experience for me, just seeing how people lived, going to Angkor Wat, traveling in the little uh their mode of transportation. I don't
Oh,
want to call it
wow.
a rickshaw because that's not right, but it was really like, you know what I mean? It was a local, and her she had family members there, so it was nice to kind of interact with them. And it really just it helps you to see people as people, because to your
Mm.
point about the media and what we see on news, that's from one perspective, and that what you see a lot of times is depicting somebody else's narrative of how it
Correct.
whatever it is, right? But you really need to have boots on the ground to know for yourself what it's like.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to do that, like you said, is through travel, and it really helps you humanize um, just life in and of itself, because we have all these stereotypes about people, and then when you actually go and you experience their culture, not 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, you will learn that they are just like you. They may just do things differently, but people are people.
Yes. I like that you said 10 times out of 10, it gives you a different perspective. And you go, wow, they hurt like me. They have issues like I do. And they celebrate like me, meaning birthdays or whatever. And you get to know their sacrifice. And when you know those basic fundamental things, you're like, wait a minute, we're going through the same thing. How can we all uplift each other?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I love that you use, because you're talking to somebody that may be afraid to travel out of the country because of what the media has crafted. And what we have to understand, the people that are reporting this have an assignment behind the scene that they're given to execute, and it may not always be in the best interest of you. So your job is to go out and get your feet wet. If you live in the United States, first maybe try Canada, which is right next door, or Mexico, which is right next door. And if you don't want to go to Canada, where Detroit is, you can go to Canada, right outside of where Seattle, Washington is. Like, it's a way to get your feet wet and start to experience. But let me say this too.
Mm-hmm.
It is so many beautiful places in United States that we have not explored. I know, and I'm just going to put this out. This was, I think, 2 years ago. And I think I talked to Erica and Cree, and you guys were all going to some island right off of New York. I cannot think of what it was. And I saw the pictures. I cannot think of the name.
Oh, Governor's Island, when we went to the
Yes,
spa,
I want to
right
go now.
there. You need to go. We got to
And I'm
plan it.
like, wow. So we have so many treasures within the United States. So I think it's a combination of both. Make sure, if you can, explore the United States because there's still places I have not been, but also make sure you go out of the country as well.
Mhm.
Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. And like they said, there are treasures right here in our own backyard. So, a lot of times people say, well, I don't have the money to go. I can't afford to go. Well, to your point, you can start small because if you live in a New York or DC or Chicago or wherever, whatever culture you're interested in, I'm sure you can find where they're located. So find out where they're located in your own hometown and start patronizing those restaurants. Get to know the people that are there, network, talk to them. You never know where that may lead. You develop a
Yes.
friendship and they say to you, hey, you know what? I'm going home to Sri Lanka next year and I would love for you to come join me and my family. Well, now you know somebody personally who can take you around. You've got a whole year to save up and you've got a whole year to continue building that relationship with them so that when you get there, not only do you feel comfortable with who it is that you're traveling with, but you also get that real local experience. And it all started right at your local restaurant in your
Yeah.
neighborhood. So I think a lot of times people think too big, when they're planning stuff like, oh, I want to go to Paris, but it costs, however many dollars to go to Paris. Okay, well, how can you have that French experience at home? To your point, go to Montreal.
Yes.
Right? Find out if there's a Parisian, I don't know, restaurant where you live at, and you don't necessarily need to just go to Paris if you want to experience French culture. You could expand and have that francophone experience. There's a lot of Caribbean
Yes.
culture, countries that speak French. So maybe you start there. You go to a local restaurant that's, I don't know, they sell food from Guadeloupe or whatever, right? And so you build from there. And I would say too, like you said, with traveling, it's important because it does help you to build those relationships. And
Yes.
those are all building blocks to you having a much bigger experience.
No, I think you were spot on with what you said, and thank you for engaging in that perspective for travel because we know it brings a broader perspective and it enhances you to be able to know that. And not only does it enhance you, it starts to move your creativity on what you can bring back to your local economy, whether it's from the creative standpoint, whether it's to institute something, whatever the case may be. That's why we all have to interact. They say, I believe in social emotional wellness.
Mhm.
We need to interact. A lot of us are really dealing with the symptoms of the pandemic because they made sure you stayed away. And a lot of people are now learning to shed their box mentality, like go in the house, don't touch anybody, only talk to someone through electronic device, which I think is great, but it's balanced to everything.
Right.
And because of that, now you're wondering why you don't know how to interact or you don't know how to hold conversation. It's an art to look in someone's eyes. And if
Yes.
they say something, you're like, oh, and to ask questions. Some of that is being lost in the process of when we had this pandemic that we had to do this.
Right, right. And I think the electronics, the phones, they also help us, like you said, to do this. But to the flip side, I guess, to that is even though the pandemic or the powers that be
There you go.
enforced or forced us to stay separate, I love the fact that people use the pandemic to get closer, to
That
move,
part.
right? There's so many people who were so afraid before. They had this whole mindset of get up, go to work, take care of your
Yes.
family, go to bed, repeat. It was so everybody was a lot of people were on autopilot. They were just
Yes.
existing. And as terrible as the pandemic is, there were so many lives that were lost, and I will not discount that. There were also so many lives that began. We saw
Girl,
so many people moving and taking a chance and
more
stepping
businesses
up.
were created. More people said, I will not live like this anymore. You
Yeah.
had more relationships breaking up, but it was for the purpose. They were just existing. They didn't
Mhm.
like that person. The other person didn't like them. They needed to move on. The pandemic was a restarter to a
Yes,
certain extent.
I agree with that. And I think what I'm hoping people will take from it is the fact that you don't have time. You don't have time. Time is valuable. Yes, you might chase the almighty dollar. Okay. But at the end of the day, the most important, the most valuable currency is your time,
Which is
because
energy.
which is energy. Yeah, and I think people learned that because every day it was like Groundhog's Day. You kept hearing, the same thing over and over again, right? With the but the each day, even though we were reliving the same thing, the numbers were increasing in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
number of deaths.
Mm-hmm.
So every day there were more people who ran out of time, more people who ran out of time. And yes, we know people die. You experience it personally with family members. But when you have to sit still because you cannot go outside, all you can do is watch TV, and you start seeing those numbers add up, the reality of the fact that you don't have time and that people are dying daily, it starts to register with you. And I think the pandemic helped a lot of people put into perspective what is important and what
Yes.
isn't, what you need in your life and what you don't. And if something
Yes.
is not serving you, to your point about, putting out good energy and having good energy around you, if something is not serving you, it has to go. You have to move.
Yeah, I think that is definitely if we take it and wrap it up in a bow, I think that's what it is. Does it serve you? If not, don't stay in it, move. And before we were kind of, staying in there like, oh, it'll be okay. And it really gave you that perspective. Go live life.
Yeah, because you realize, like, we think, oh, it's okay. I'll deal with that, I'll deal with that tomorrow. Well, guess what? Tomorrow might not come. Tomorrow did not come for millions of people. And I think, like, to your point, people realize I'm not going to put off for tomorrow what I can do today. This relationship is not serving me. Deuces,
Yeah,
or this
okay.
job, is not serving me. And that, to your point, kind of just to go back to music, I think that's why Beyonce's song, the first one that she released from Renaissance, release your job, release your stress,
Yes.
release your, right?
Yes.
That song really resonated with people because it was like, you know what? You're right. Let me release this job. Let me release this relationship. Let me release these clothes that don't fit no more because I
Girl.
lost weight. I'm healthy now. Let me just
Yes.
release whatever toxins are in my life. So that too, I think, was the soundtrack of the pandemic, and it should still be the soundtrack post pandemic. And that's another one. When I hear it, you
Oh,
get
I
excited.
love that too.
Yeah, because those words really resonate. Like, she's like, they work you hard, from 9 to 5. You stressed out from this job. You're constantly on this hamster wheel.
Yeah.
And that song really put in perspective what a lot of people have been experiencing up until the pandemic.
No, you're definitely right. And with that being said, I think it's been a natural flow. Even though we were talking about life, we still are talking about music because music is a part of life. And with that being said, can you identify a song that you sung as a child? I mean, you was getting it. You was like, yes. Oh, I love this. And then you realize you was like, wait, what? Minute. I didn't know that song meant that. Oh my gosh, and I've been singing that. Can you identify a song?
Yes, Push It by Salt and Pepper. Remember the dance? Remember the dance? Well, I got caught singing and doing the dance, and uh, let's just say I wasn't pushing it for a while. But I remember
Oh,
somebody was like, "Just tell your mother they mean push. It's about music, like push the beat." And
well,
my mother
and
was like,
that's the thing over the time. I always debated, did they go, ah, push it, just talking about dancing, pushing your
"Right,
body? That's what I thought. I was an adult when I found out they were talking about, ah, push it
push it."
on
Yeah,
relations. I'm trying, and I had no idea. So what was it that triggered you or that incident that you like, oh, okay.
I think it was just the reprimand that I got, right? Like I first of all, the dance you were doing suggested you was not pushing no beat.
Okay.
So I think it was just the what are you doing, that kind of thing. But when you heard it, it was like dun, 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 and still I still got it on my phone. Okay, like you asked what song gets you going, that one still gets me going. I'm dating myself. I got a funky rhyme with a funky style. That when I hear that, I'm dating myself again. But all of that, it feels good, and
Well, that's what we want, that feel good music. And it's not necessarily that you're dating yourself, because right now during the pandemic, what I see that our babies have been ingesting all of our music and they know a little bit of, so you have R&B, which to me never die, but it's
mhm,
coming back in a real way. Think about when I talked to you guys maybe 3 weeks ago, you guys were on your way to a Boys to Men concert, correct?
yes, yep,
And I don't know if you remember me mentioning that Boys to Men's son or Wanye, his group called I think it's called Wanye. They also have a remix of the Boys to Men song, Please Don't Go Away
oh
From Me.
yes, I remember that song.
Oh my gosh, but it still has the foundation of what his dad and the members did, but
Hmm.
they just added little extra nuance that took it to the next level. And I would encourage you, if you get a chance, to check it out. And if not, when we get
Okay,
off, I'll send it to you. And I
yes,
love it. I love it. So I'm saying that these babies had to sit and be still, and now they had the choice to discover it is other things that are timeless instead of
hmm,
things that are just camp, because we know that we've navigated like, oh, that's old folks music, and then now we can say, oh, that was some good music. Now we can
yes,
understand when they would go, oh, our parents be like, yes, we know
yes,
that that was a memory that
yes,
was connected to that movement and that
yes,
sound, and it just elevated their energy. But back then we was like,
right. Making a
and
face.
exactly. So we understand the vibration, the energy of music. It is no set point for music. What you like is what you like. What I like is what I like. But the common part of it all, it's music. And I
Yes.
love it.
Yes, and it connects. I mean, we went to see me, Cree, and a few others, NECA, some other folks had gone to Toya to London to see Beyonce in concert. Yes, we crossed
Oh,
the pond to go see. Yes, yes, yes,
wow.
yes. Um, and that was crazy. I For me, like they had got there, a few days before I did, and I had some other things to do. But I literally spent 48 hours. Yeah. Yeah, my flight was supposed to leave at 10 p.m. on Sunday. We didn't leave until almost after midnight. Got to London Monday. The concert was that night. I had Tuesday to kind of be in London, and then Wednesday back to the States. But I would do it
Wow.
all again to see the Queen. I don't care. But
What?
yes, but the thing is, in the stadium, I mean, you saw people of all nationalities, all colors, and it was beautiful. People knew the words to all of her songs. She had one song where she had people singing along, Love on Top, and that was great to just see everybody singing at the top of their lungs. People were crying. Um, it was just beautiful to see how an artist, and specifically her music, right? Because yeah, people love Queen Bee, that's hands
Yes.
down. But it's the songs. Like some songs that she was singing, you could see people singing their hearts out. It really
Hmm.
touched them. Yeah. And it didn't matter what your class was, it didn't matter what your race was, your gender, sexual orientation. None of that mattered. People were there in silver, in sequins, silver with the cowboy hats, the chaps. Like it was phenomenal to see how music was able to unite so many people. And
I
then,
think
her being from the States, from the US,
yes.
we felt love too, because it's like here's an American and a Black American woman getting all this love abroad.
Wow. I love that you're able to bring that perspective. And y'all some bad, bad women. Like, you know what? We gonna go on overseas to go see her.
Look,
Listen, check in a good way, okay? I
yes,
love that. Um, with that being said, can you identify a artist that you were able to purchase all on your own, meaning you had birthday money, Christmas money, and nobody influenced you? You know, your parents may say, oh, I like this, or they purchased a particular, album or CD, but this was your wholehearted, like, oh, this is what I want. This is what I want to purchase. Can you identify a
Lil,
song or artist? Uh-oh, she's laughing.
Lil Kim hardcore. I remember. Yeah, yeah. Her first
Wow.
album that Kim dropped, I remember waiting online outside of, was it Sam Goody or
Yeah.
Best Buy? It was whatever the music store was on 86 in Lexington in Manhattan.
Mm.
And my high school was a couple of blocks away. So I had saved up, like you said, some money. And when the album dropped, I was on that line waiting to get inside to get the album. And I don't know, it was I
So
loved it.
let
We
me
went to
ask
my best friend's house in Brooklyn and we used to play it loud for
you.
the street. I don't want, right? And y'all know that song. We shouldn't
Well,
be playing
listen,
that
this is
loud.
a adult show, so you can say what you want and how you want. So give us one song off the album that you was like, I thought I was like, and give us a couple of lyrics.
Oh God, when she was like, "You got it going on, what, yeah, what, you got it going on, what," and I'm not gonna say the rest of it because
Yes.
I
No, no.
wasn't doing it at that time, but
I love it.
it was like, Kim just came with it, the
Yeah. Yeah.
like when you hear the beat, and then, if you and my best friend, at the time lived in Brooklyn in East Flatbush. So you had the whole Brooklyn vibe. And I remember being at her house and we were playing it. We're like, yeah, we in Brooklyn. Like you couldn't tell us nothing. And we just sitting there, rapping to it. And then I remember what's the first one that she did? It was Little Kim and Puffy. No time for fake ones, just sipping twist style with these real ones. I don't remember the rest of it now. That's bad.
No,
But I
you
remember the video. Remember Kim? I think she had on like a
a
fur
fur
coat, and
coat.
yes, and they were on the escalator before Donald Trump was on the
Come
escalator
on.
fighting. Um, but it was just fly. Like I thought Little Kim was absolutely beautiful. Her, Foxy Brown was another one.
Yes.
But for Little Kim, I just thought like she was, I don't know, she was tough, she was petite, but she was still feminine, she was beautiful. And it was just empowering to see this young Black woman from Brooklyn holding her own with all these other, with guys from Junior Mafia. She was the only female.
Exactly. And I think regardless of people may agree or disagree, but she set the standard for years later for the Nickies and the Carlys and so many others. And it may not be the same type, but the foundation of I'm a bad chick, but let's even go before her, MC Light. MC Light was like, people don't give her credit. I remember listening to Light and I was like, she was beautiful, but she had that tone and cadence like I wish you would.
I wish you would. Queen Latifah too. And whatever.
Yes,
Yes. And I think Queen Latifah, like now you see a lot of these female rap artists. They're also entrepreneurs. They're starting their own businesses, buying property. Like I think Cardi was saying she has some property. Um, but you had Queen Latifah who was, I feel, in her own right, an entrepreneur. Yes, she was a rapper, but she was also doing things over here. I don't know. This Flavor Unit, is that her?
I
Right?
think so.
I think so. And then just seeing her in movies, right? It was like, okay, I'm a rapper, but I can also be an actress as well.
But
So
all of those things, if I don't mean to
no,
interrupt
no, no.
you, those ladies were the catalyst for it. They were the example that say you
Yes.
don't just have to rap, you
Right.
can have a brand that can be done on multiple platforms.
Right. Right.
And that's what I give them. You know, some people talk about the sexuality of Kim. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about her being able to really put herself out there and open up a new lane.
Hmm.
I bless all the women where they're at. They're,
Amen.
regardless of what they talk about, they are truly talented women, because you and I both know it's hard to get out there as a woman and do these things in this dominated perspective of male. Now things are changing. It's coming into a balance, but
Hmm.
back then you had to fight, and I'm pretty sure to this day we don't know the stories that they encountered, the things they had to do. I mean,
Hmm.
just think about wardrobe alone. Men can put a
Right.
t-shirt on and wear a pair of jeans and be the greatest rapper. Women,
Hmm.
we cannot do that. We got to have head to toe together, or we look like we don't care.
Right. Right. No, that's true. And I think that I feel like that's still probably the standard a little bit. Like I know, was it somebody was, I can't remember now who it was, but someone was complaining about female rappers only talking about sex and is that all that they have to offer? And I'm like, well, the rap industry, right, has been dominated by males talking about sex, guns, and violence and money. And we haven't complained about that. We haven't asked them, do you have anything else to offer? So like I said, I like Cardi B. I'm a fan. She came from the
Yes.
Bronx. I like that she built herself up, to where she's at now. I think she is phenomenal and she owns it. She does not care. There is no censorship. You get, it is what it is. What you see is what you get with her. And I think that that has helped so many people um, to be real, for lack
Yeah.
of a better term, right? No matter what field, profession that you're in, I
Hmm.
think when you see someone like a Cardi who still has her Bronx accent, has
Yeah.
no problems telling you that she's from New York, despite the fact that she has done well for herself financially and in the rap game. It lets you know that you can be successful while still remaining true to who you are. And the other person too, I would give a shout out to, my first song that I told you I love, is Lauryn Hill, because that whole
Yes.
album from beginning to end,
Yes.
was phenomenal to me. It still is an outstanding, incredible album,
Timeless.
timeless. I feel like nothing else can touch it. I'm sorry, I haven't come across any female albums that are on that level to me. Um, and she is another person who I think is just, for
Well,
her
I
time,
think
she was amazing.
I'm glad that you said that, because what it does, it gives a balance. You have the women that would, have the sexual connotation, and then you had the women like Lauryn Hill. We have everything in between. I think that one is put against each other. I don't
Hmm.
play women put against each other. If you don't like it, tap out. Now, I do believe some things that we need to address, but that's what you do as a mother or a father for your children. But when it's all said and done, um, it's what you choose to tap into. What do
Right.
you like and what works for you? And we know, and this is another misconception that I hear people say, oh, these kids, they be talking crazy and they say all these things and they have no home training. And that is totally not the truth. Girl, I heard a song from the 1940s.
Mm.
When
Come on.
you talk about vulgar and out of order, I was like, what? So at the end of the day, what I'm saying with this, that is a lane for everything.
Right.
Choose your lane wisely.
Right.
I always say it's 7 lanes in the road. Remember, 7 is my favorite number.
Yes.
We do not have to go in. People have put it in our heads that, oh, you just need to have 2.1 child. or two and a half child, which is two
Mm-hmm.
kids and a dog, a white picket fence, and you'll be happy. And that's so further from the truth. What will make you happy is you going into your lane. And by going
Yes.
into one of those 7 lanes, go where you are loved, go where you
Mm-hmm.
are happy, go where your spirit elevates to the highest level. And I'll go back to what I say all the time: whatever you do frequently becomes your frequency. So
Amen.
go into that space that works for you. Stop
Mm-hmm.
allowing the media or anybody else to tell you you must be in that lane. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the beautiful part about it, you may start off in one lane, jump to another lane, and end up in the lane at the end. It is totally up to you.
Yes.
Choose wisely. And I didn't mean
Yes.
to go on, but I believe
Oh,
in
no, no. I think that was beautiful. And I think that I hope everybody listening to this really takes in what you just said and makes it a daily practice. Because I think so often we feel like, to your point, life is supposed to look like this. You're supposed to have this. And I have to say, one thing that I have enjoyed, just getting back to the travel piece we were talking about. As a lot of people know, Jamaica is like I feel like an honorary Jamaican. I love
it.
Jamaican culture. I love Jamaican men.
One love.
One love. I just do, because it's just, I can't even describe it. There
Oh,
is
what?
just such, I could probably be on here all day about it. But I actually was in Jamaica last weekend with my one of my close friends for her birthday, right? And so we went to this place in Montego Bay called Fish Hut. Shout out to the Fish Hut. If you are in Jamaica and you go to Montego Bay, please go to the Fish Hut.
Now
Okay?
you know you gotta explain it. You didn't send us there. You gotta tell us what they offer, honey.
All right. So it's like, okay, it's literally a hut.
I'm down.
It's a hut. They got a bar, a rum bar in the West Indies. We always have the little rum shop. So they have a bar. And in the back, so it's built right on the sea. Literally, their
Mm,
back door, right behind the kitchen, is the ocean.
mm.
Yes. And they serve, okay, so I know here we talk about, what is it, farm to table? This is sea to table. This is
Ooh,
like legit. Yes. So they fish there, they get the fish. And what I like about it is that it's so simple, right? The setting is so simple. You got the bar inside, you got some stools, they have some seating, and then outside they have two kind of like picnic style tables. And then on the other side, they've got some chairs. But it's all facing the water. So you have this
oh.
oceanfront view. You've got, they come and they ask you, what do you want? And you tell them, I want fish. Okay, I want snapper. So they
Wait,
present to
wait.
you.
I need
Yeah.
to put the pause button on.
Oh,
So you're telling me that they don't give you a menu, they ask you what you want.
they ask you, they have a menu.
Okay.
Have a menu too, but they'll ask you, what is it that you'd like to eat? And for us, we knew when we came, we were like, we want fish. As soon as you touched, for me, as soon as I touched it, I want fish.
What kind of
I was like, I
fish?
want fish. I want
What
fish.
kind?
And they're like, I want snapper. I want
Okay.
fish. And so they come out, right? And they've got, a choice, a selection of snapper, different sizes. And then they
Wow.
tell you how much it is based on the weight. Fine. And then literally they chef it up in the back. The big pot is going. You hear the grease
Ooh.
frying. You see the smoke coming, and it's conversation. You could have your rum punch while you're sitting there, or a red stripe. People having
Ooh.
conversation, right? You got the breeze coming off the ocean.
Ooh.
And then as soon as they finish it, they present it to you. You got your fish, your escovitch, of course, with right, and you have your fried plantain if you want that.
Love
They
it.
also had lobster, but the point is that it's so simple. It is so simple, and
Mm.
it's the what's the word? What do I want to say, Halima?
The
It's
sim.
it's just it's the simplicity of it, but then it's conversation, and you're talking to
Yes.
people about how was your day, and people are coming in and out, and it just it's not pretentious. It's not pretentious. It's
Mm,
not that, restaurant, how many people,
yeah.
let's make a reservation. Let's see if we have any seats available. No, it's just you come in, this is what you want, and they give it to you. And it's the company, because
Wow.
the people there were very friendly. They talked with us. People shared their day, what was going on. And given the location, because it's not like in a touristy area, it really is kind of, in a local, if you're a local and you're going home, you're gonna pass Fish Hut on your
I
way to
like
town.
places like that.
Yeah, it just so I don't know where I was going with this, but the point, shout out
And
to
how much
Jamaica.
you love you. The point was how much you love Jamaica
Yes.
and the good food you shout out, and that
And the sun.
further makes me want to go to Jamaica and just really be able. Remember, I talked about I need to touch ground. My senses need to see, feel, hear the elevation of what it is. And it sounds like it's a spiritual connection because of what you said. You said, I can talk about it for another 2 hours. When you have that spiritual cord that's connected,
Mm,
I don't know what your belief system, but it may be connected to something that's so deep you don't even know, because it's not something you just wake up and go, yeah, we have our experience, but the way you talked about it, you'll see when you see the video how you just like, ooh, like it took you to another level. So
yeah.
hopefully I get a chance to experience just what you described in
Yes.
this fish hut.
Yes. And it's like I said, for me, travel is, I get the most from traveling when I can really interact and see what life is like on the most basic of levels. Because, and this is no shade to all inclusives. If that's your thing, that's fine, because
I'm a woman of both. Sometime I want to be, but sometime I want the best of the best. And guess what? I will not apologize for it.
and I don't think that you should. I would only say for folks who do stay at the all inclusives, don't just stay there your whole time.
Mm.
Make it a point to at least just step out and kind of see what's going on, even as you're on your way to the all inclusive, right? You're going to pass through local towns, you're going to see local experiences. Really take that in, because it's not just what you see there at the all inclusive, it's everything.
Well, you
It's
know what?
everything.
I'm glad you said that. To your point, I had a conversation about 2 weeks ago. And matter of fact, it was about Jamaica. And the lady explained to me that they did stay in an all exclusive place, but she said they have been taught to discourage you to go outside
Mm,
of the area. For example, she was like, well, I want to see how the locals, and they go, you can go, but if you get sick, or if you, so they put little, and I don't know if that's just a part of the process to keep it separate and your money goes only stay
mm,
there and not with the locals. But she said they do that. So she said that you have to have thick skin and say, okay, not a problem, and still explore. She said always go with your natural intuition if something is not right.
absolutely.
But she said that that was the common theme in the all exclusive kind of
Hmm.
hotels.
And I think that's true. And I mean, but here's the thing, right? Because I think that the U.S. put out an alert about Jamaica. They raised the I don't want to say the threat level. That's not right. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
The level of concern was raised because they had 60 something murders in a month. And so I was like, well, how many people in America die a day?
Hello.
I'm just saying. So you have to have, here's the other thing too, I think with travel, and that was something my grandfather always stressed to me: have common sense. Don't do whatever you would not do at home, don't do it abroad. And I think a lot of times as Americans, we have this false sense of entitlement. You feel like you can go someplace and do whatever you want. Like if
No,
you're in
ma'am.
Abu Dhabi and they tell you to cover up, don't come there in pum pum shorts.
Thank
Don't
you.
do it, right? And don't
Be
and be
respectful of the
respectful.
land.
Yes, be respectful of the land and understand that you are not in your home country. Things do not operate here the way that they do at home. You may go someplace that's a patriarchal society, right? And so, yes, I'm an attorney, I'm an independent woman, and I might feel like, you said, you can't treat me like this. Okay, but guess what? I don't want to get locked up abroad. So
Ha!
let me, if your custom is, you know, whatever it is,
You gonna
right?
pull back.
I'm gonna pull back. I'm not gonna come there, on some rah 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 rah, right? Because number one, it's disrespectful, and number two, like nobody has time to get locked up on vacation. We're not there for that. You're not there for that. You are there to experience and have a good time, and part of the experience and having a good time is being respectful of where you are at. If
Yes.
if they tell you no cell phones in the airport at customs, put your phone away. It's very simple. Once you get through customs, you can text whoever you need to, but don't treat it like, well, whatever, I'm gonna just be on my phone because this is a long line.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
get locked up for that, or you might have your phone taken away. So just don't do it.
I'm glad that you did speak to the etiquette, but also speaking to the etiquette, I would take it a step further. It is a respect level, and I'll take it another step further. If I invite you to my house and you're invited to my house, you don't go into the fridge, you don't just go upstairs and go into there's certain things that I expect in my house, and if you don't like it, you must leave. You do not get a chance to just do whatever you need to do in my house. And I take that the same way when you go to another country.
That's
Respect their rules. If it doesn't jive with you, don't go back. But
right.
you don't take what you think it is okay and go into somebody else's home, so to speak, and do whatever you think you want to do.
Right. And the other thing I would add to that is investigate where you're going before you go. Because whatever you see on the gram, like that might not be what it is. And a lot of times people get someplace and they're like, oh, well, there's no McDonald's here. Or how come, everything don't open until 2 o'clock? Or why this or why that? Because that's the way it works here.
Yeah.
If you want McDonald's, stay home.
Girl,
Stay
or
home.
that entitlement, you're going to experience something different. Why are you, if you're only a McDonald's eaters, you may need to just stay in the States. Let's
Right.
be real.
Or find a country that has McDonald's, right? If that's the case. But again, that's part of investigating where you are going. Don't just look at what the accommodations are, but you need to really familiarize yourself with what the customs are, and make sure that it's something that you can comply with when you get there, because once you get there, you're on their territory, right?
Yes.
You're at their will, you're at their mercy, whatever home country it is that you're visiting. And so, like you said, you have to really humble yourself. And I think that's the other thing too that travel teaches you. It's humility. And it also teaches you to appreciate what we have here at home. Because yes, the United States is not perfect, it has its issues, but there are other places in the world that I have traveled to, and I'm like, I can't wait till I get home. I appreciate what
Yes.
I have at home,
Yeah.
right? So it's a balance.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like our conversation has been about music and one-on-one of traveling. If no one is traveling abroad, or with it just traveling, period. And I think it's a great way because that really is a perspective that you can really talk about because you love traveling. We really had the opportunity to see who you are and how you look at life. Before we get out of here, I do have one last question I could talk about or talk to you maybe for another hour if we had it, but I won't hold you up. But I will talk about high elevation and how I love to see crowd participation songs. For example, if you're out to eat and it's your birthday and you hear people go, "Happy birthday to you." You don't even have to know them. You tap it in, you singing happy birthday. And if you engage in conversation, you high fiving. Next thing you know, we aunties, we cousins, we
Yep.
letting you know what the next step is. It is really a crowd participation song. I say all that to say, can you identify a song that had high vibration that you either participated in or you watched a group participate in and you was like, "Ooh, yes, yes," and you just automatically became a part of it because of the energy, the high vibration. Like, can you think of a song?
I think what is Frankie Beverly and Mays, Before I Let Go, the picnic song, the cookout song. I don't
Girl,
know. It's just something about that. Like, when you hear it, whoa, whoa, everybody's singing it. And then, before I let you go, where everybody's singing it, like the music, sometimes the DJ will just stop the music so that he can just hear the crowd sing it. I don't know. It seems it unites people. And every time I hear that song, and I may not even know the people where I'm at when I hear it, but if you black and it's on, you just make that eye contact, and it's like the words.
and you family now.
And you family now. Yes, that and the electric slide, that never gets old.
It's true. It's funny that I don't know how many videos I have, and I would almost speak to say the majority of the answers will always go back to Frankie, Beverly, and
Yes.
Maze. I would love to have them on and interview them and tell them their perspective and get their perspective on music. But I say all that to say the song is for someone that's 7 years old or 106 years old. Everybody can relate, everybody can vibe. The energy of it brings everybody together. And no one, I think when that song is playing, you know how sometimes you watch people dance with that, you're not watching, you are really interacting.
Yep. Yep. You are really interacting because it just moves you, and like, how could you not? It just I don't it just does something to you. It just
Yes, yes,
yes.
I agree 100%. Um, I just want to tell you that this has been absolutely phenomenal just
Yes.
to get your perspective. One, being a lawyer, I want young ladies, young men, or anybody in between to see that you can have a career, but you can also travel and have a love for travel and execute it flawlessly. Because from the
Amen.
time I've known you, it's like, oh, she's here. And now it's not even like I go, oh, okay. It's just been consistent across the board, your love for travel. But not only that, your perspective on life, your perspective on music. So I thank you for being
Thank
transparent.
you.
I thank you for giving me a part, and not just me, my audience, a part of you. But before we get out of here, I always talk about the journey and the destination. The
Mm.
journey is where you learn and where you grow. The destination is where you celebrate. I believe people forget about celebrating. We must have time to celebrate. I think that's when you feel grounded and you're okay with the work you've put in. But when it's all said and done, we got to get back into the journey so we can continue to learn, to elevate, to figure out what we call life.
Right.
With that being said, before we get out of here, can you please tell my audience if they would like to contact? I don't know if you do that, but if you like to share any social media handles or anything you would like to share with my audience about you or for you, the floor is yours.
I feel old school. I don't have any social media handles.
Really?
So yeah, I don't have
Well,
any social
well, that
media.
Well, that's okay. And no, don't hide your face. The mere fact that you have traveled, you're a lawyer, you're not only that, you're born and raised in New York. You gave us the essence of who you are.
Thank you.
So we love that. For anybody that comes on to my platform, I always love for my guests to have the last words. So, do you have any last words you would like to share with anybody, any perspective, anything that's on your heart?
My last words to everybody is live each day as if it's the last 24 hours that you have on this earth.
Mm.
Be grateful for what God has blessed you with what the ancestors has blessed you with. And remember, less is more. Less is more. And the most valuable currency you will ever have in this lifetime is what? Time. So don't waste it. Do not waste it, folks.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Miss Tanya. And before we do that, I just want to let you know, to my men, I salute them, but to my women, I bow. So I bow to you, beautiful lady. I thank you again for saying yes to me. And oh, thank you. You know, I might have to call you up on that. I'll be like, you said anytime on record. I got you.
Yes, ma'am. You got me on the record.
And with that being, yeah, okay, that's right. That is right. Thank you so much. And I would like my audience to please put your hands together and thank my beautiful sister, Miss Tanya Thank you again. I appreciate you. And I say to all my people, I will see you out here in these Las Vegas streets.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Bye.